We're back again, and I'm here, and I'm starting my new series of pots. I had an imagination of seeing all these sort of floral pots all on the ground together. There's been a couple of times in my ceramics making uh, career, if you want to call it that, where after I'm done making a whole series of something, I lay them out on the ground as a grid pattern, and that's just to keep things neat and orderly. And when you're neat and orderly, it increases your efficiency by quite a bit, right? But I've tried to make a couple of pots that really just didn't work out when I tried that, and then I started making a lot of these sort of pots here, and all of a sudden, it feels like finally it opened up a new path for me to sort of devise of a way to keep these pots in that same formation on the ground. And so I think that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be making a ton of these sort of pots. Um, I'm probably going to try to do 3 every day, and then hopefully I'll get 200 of them or something. And so, this is the sort of mentality that I like to approach ceramics with, right? Is all of a sudden you look back on old forms and old things that you've done, and you try to innovate them with new techniques and new things that you've been working through, right? And new things that you discovered. And then all of a sudden it opens the doors to avenues that weren't necessarily there when you try to do it in the idea's impetus. So it's really exciting for me. And so I think right now I'm just going to be making a bunch of these every day. And so hopefully, along with this series, throw with me that you guys can join me, and hopefully you can discover some. It doesn't have to be pottery; it could just be making anything. But hopefully you guys can discover something, and it will allow you to open your mind to some new avenues of making, and potentially maybe some new avenues of work and thought and theory. And so I hope that can help out. That was a really look at that poll. Yeah, Jesus, that was a really even poll. I feel like that's like those buttery moments that we're always looking for. But yeah, I think I've been making these sort of those floral flaps and then I was also starting to work with how do I innovate on a body form and make it a little bit more interesting than just a spiral. And so I think the drastic pole really helps it out here, and so you'll see that later on. But yeah, right now I'm using a stoneware clay. It looks really white though. It almost looks like a B-mix porcelain. It's like that really light gray color. I'm doing a lot of collaring. I've felt that sometimes I have smaller hands, but I really like when the narrowness of the pot is proportional to the size that I'm making it, right? And so I think I have to go pretty tall with these in order to make them look a medium sized after I've done with all my editing, because it shrinks down the pot quite considerably. And so I think it's pretty important for me to collar it in here. And so I've been working on collaring it in. I don't really like doing it, and I'm not really the best at it, but you can see that it adds some more drama when you have these parts where it's a little bit thinner than what it would normally be at that size. And so I think that helps out by trying to color it in and just sticking my hand down there. You can see on the top right now, it can cause some uncenteredness, but just go slow and steady, and then hopefully it will work out for you if you're doing some more thin throwing. And you can always go thinner than where your hand can go in if you're pulling up through it. So you can actually collar through a pole, and that can help out with getting that diameter that you're searching for. And so right now I'm establishing where the blossom's going to go. I realize that the blossom needs to start a little bit lower than what I would normally have done it, right? And so when it starts a little bit lower, it actually gives me more room for I've just discovered this, it actually gives you more room for the flap to finish the full flap. If you do it too shallow, it's going to hit the collapse, where it's collapsed on the interior. It's going to hit that, and it's not going to go down anymore, and it's not going to cause that rim to sort of fold in on itself. And so what I've been learning is that I actually have to make it a little bit taller, so it has room to fully fold in, and it can really wrap around. And I also, on some of my other ones, I was giving some more space between where the thing starts to collapse, but where the pot starts to collapse, like right in that area where it's like twisting, like right under there. I've been giving some more room before it gets to the blossom, and so in one of my shorts videos, there's an example of what can happen with that. So these are just small ways to iterate, right? And so I often think about making pots as like it's like a sort of like a Bible verse. I'm not really well versed in the Bible or anything, but um, the way you say something can be different, right? And so, but the core of the thing is still there. And so what I mean by that is like the bottom is being adjusted. Those four little strands that end up twisting those are all moments. Those are all like a piece of a prayer, right? And the way we execute that is different every single time. And so it's sort of how I like to think about these things in ceramics. And so now I can play with some of the smaller moments, so then they have a unifying essence to them, but there's also a lot of unique play with each and every pot. And I think that's something that I've been focusing on. And you can see that the collapse here is really nice. They're not totally collapsed on each other. There's a little gap between each one. And I actually think it looks really nice and compared to some of the other ones. I've been working on getting that bottom dish to look more like a dish and up. And so when I start making these little undulations, the skirt, it really has this floral thing. And I felt like if I can just make that larger, then I don't need to make the petals from the other collapsed ones. Maybe that collapsed sort of thing can make its way into a future project even, right? And so that's sort of how I like to navigate these things. And I think that's just how it is. And so I did a lot of talking and not a lot of listening, but I hope that's not a lot of commentating on what I was doing, but I'm pretty excited about this new thing, and I'm going to be making some videos about these pots every day. And hopefully along this journey, you guys can like tune in and like listen to the things that I'm thinking about and how I'm editing through all my work. And so, yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. All the best and strong mentality, yo. Peace.